I believe, for stepping on the line, which that was a close race ultimately, but I think she would have gone through.
So that was the reason they DQ'd her for a line step?
I think it was lane infringement. Yeah. So that's tough break for her because yeah, she was in the heat with Sagai and Obiri, but it went slow, and she held her own there and under ran under 15 minutes, and what she's done has just been remarkable. So that was sad to see. In general, did you think those 5K heats were balanced well? Because you heat one had two from Kenya in Ringerup and Tirop, two from Ethiopia, Safan Hassan, Schweizer, and Can. And then heat two had the big guns in Obiri and Sagai. But then after that, it was pretty it was pretty light. Cranny and Schneider were in there for the US, and I mentioned Nian Saba, but it just seemed weird to have Hassan plus four of the six Ethiopian and Kenyans in one heat of the women's 5K.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of weird. The way they do heat selections for the first round is not just your time; it's also your country. So they don't want to. They try to guarantee that we don't put it
Okay.
two people in the same country in the same heat if there's more than three or more heats, right? Because they don't
Yeah.
want the countrymen to beat up on each other. In a 5K prelim, there's only two heats, so you have to put two in one. But I think that factor kind of messes with the algorithm that causes someone like a Safan Hassan to be in a double Ethiopia, double Kenya heat,
hmm
you know. So that's the reason for something like that happening.
All right.
Just so you know.
Yeah. No,
Any other
that makes
thoughts on
sense.
what
Makes sense.
what were
I
your
mean,
thoughts on the 5K? Did you
yes,
take anything away
Hassan
from it?
looked. I don't think Hassan's tripling based on how she closed. She ran really hard and she didn't need to. So I think we're going to see Hassan only in the 5 and the 10. Obiri and Sagai looked confident because they knew early on that they were not going to have any time qualifiers from that heat, and they just stayed poised. Schneider doesn't go through for the US, but they get Schweizer and Cranny there. All of Schweizer's championship experience has been in really fast prelim heats. Because in Doha,
Yeah.
she PR'd in the prelim and then PR'd again in the final and was taking off massive chunks of time. But overall, my impressions of this didn't change. I think it's gonna come down to Hassan, Obiri, and Sagai in the final. And weather dependent, I think it could be really quick, but I also think we could see something similar to what we saw for the men's 10K. Except maybe there won't be a Steven Kissa in that pacing. By the way, I did see Jonathan Galt tweeted. He said that Kissa said he was supposed to run 240 a kilometer, and Cheptegei and Chalimo were supposed to follow him, but it didn't happen, obviously. So he was supposed to go out sub 27-minute pace, but in this weather, that just wasn't going to happen. And I guess they never told him, hey, we're not doing that plan. Switch up.
It's kind of
Audible,
wild that a
audible.
country can be like, you are an Olympic pacer. It's kind of wild, right?
So
Who would have thought?
people did it for Garouge back. I remember people doing it for Garouge back in the day in the 1500 for Morocco. They get somebody in and they would keep the pace going, but he just straight up dropped out. Doesn't bother me at all if that's how you want to use your Olympic race. It's your it's your ticket. Use it however you want to. It's your money. Spend it however you'd like. And if that's how you want to do it, trying to help out two other people or one other person, then that's fine. I don't think it did it get the pace going. They ignored him really. And then the person who covered the move was Ronix Kiprutu, who was a non-factor because it was too slow early on, and Barrega, who ended up winning the gold medal, but they just brought him right back to the pack. I think it ultimately was inconsequential in terms of keeping the pace going.
So other things happened. So 5K, everyone got through except
Yeah.
for one American and Schneider. I think Hassan looked like the favorite coming out of that prelim. 10K we talked
Yep.
about. Mixed relay, let's be honest, it's not a real
We
event
talked about it.
now.
We
Especially
talked about it.
now it's definitely not a real event in my eyes because the Americans aren't in it. Me with my American bias. Uh, the